Hey guys, I'm Desi Arnaz, and welcome to the Passive Wealth Power Hour. I'm glad that you guys are here. I am going to be today answering questions and talking about all things uh, passive income, passive wealth building. Anything about that, that's what we're all about here at the Passive Wealth Power Hour. So, welcome in. I'm glad that you guys are here. We are live on multiple platforms. You guys, I just want to tell you too that you have access to chats wherever you are. And when you do access the chat, I should be able to see it on my end, regardless of which platform you're checking in from. It doesn't always work that way. You know, it's technology. Sometimes it works great and sometimes it doesn't. But I will be checking to see if you guys are, chatting with me through the chat. So today, what I was going to be talking about as far as the passive wealth is this. I'm going to be talking today about the life insurance policies that I use to create our family banking system. And so I was going to just talk about that a bit. If you are not familiar with how infinite banking, or actually what I'm going to call today family banking, works, it's pretty awesome. What I did is I created a family bank for my family, and we all use this family banking system for um, for making investments and for borrowing money and things like that. Okay, and it works out pretty well. Some of you I know have used infinite banking and that whole strategy. This has got a little bit of a twist on it, only because the way that I structured it is in alignment with a book that I wrote called The Family Circle of Wealth. Just so you guys know, this is the book, Family Circle of Wealth, which you can actually access. You can buy this on Amazon, but you don't have to buy it on Amazon. If you're interested in the book, I will send you the book. All you've got to do is text me at this number on the screen, 951-551-0087. Just text the word book, and I will get the book out in the mail to you. If you want to put your address in there too, that would be a good thing. Okay, and then I can send you out this book, and you can read it, and you'll understand exactly how I structured our family's banking system. And I think you're going to like it a lot. So, just out of curiosity, guys, if you guys are here, put it into the chat to me if you've ever looked into creating an infinite banking or family banking system. Put that into the chat. Let's see if the chat is actually working for us today like it's supposed to. I hope that it is. But let's just see if it is. And then we'll just go from there. All right? So I'm looking for you guys right now. I don't see anything in the chat just yet, but that's okay. That's okay. I'll continue to look. So here's what happened for me. I hadn't really heard about the whole idea and concept of it until about 5 years or so ago. I was talking with one of my investor partners. He's a doctor, and we invest in real estate deals together. And he was just kind of telling, we were talking about his family and his background, and he was telling me that his grandfather had set up a family banking system when he was just a boy. And he said he was only 4 years old, around 4 years old, when his grandfather set it up. And now, of course, as I said, he's a physician now, and he has his own practice. But he said that he used the family banking system in their family bank to get his student loans from, rather than traditional sources. And then as he pays back the student loans, he's actually paying back his own family. And I thought that's pretty cool. And then he went on to tell me also that he decided at one point that he was going to open his own practice, his own medical practice. And so what he did is he went back to the family bank and he took a $750,000 loan, a mortgage loan from the family bank. And every single month, he makes his mortgage payment now back to his own family, along with interest, just like he would have to pay to Bank of America. But instead of Bank of America, he's paying to Bank of him, right? Bank of his family. And so I thought, when he told me that, I thought that's a really great idea. Because in most families, you all know, in most families, people are using credit all the time. They're using credit cards, they're using credit lines, um, they're taking mortgages, they're buying cars, financing furniture, just all kinds of stuff all the time. And yet, every time they finance something, the money that they pay back, when they pay it back, goes out of the family and to the creditor that loaned them the money. And I thought, you know what? It might make sense to try to create something like that for my family. And so I started looking into it. And I realized that it's not that difficult to do. As a matter of fact, it's not nearly as expensive as you might think it is to set up a family bank because it's not a real bank, right? It's a system. It's a system. And so because it's not a real bank, you don't have to get a bank charter. You don't have to get a license. You don't have to go to the government and get their permission to do this. This is something that anybody can do. They just need to make a decision to do it. So what I did with my own family bank, I decided I would start by setting up a trust inside my family. And most of us, many of you guys already have a trust or a will or something like that, okay? So I decided I would set up a trust in my family, and then from that, within the trust is where I thought I would set up our family banking system, okay? So now, for those of you that are not familiar with how trust works, there's different types of trusts. There's different types of trust. Let me see. It looks like I got something in the chat here. Oh, yeah. Somebody put some, Dominique. Thank you, Dominique. Dominique put in there, fire in the chat. Thank you, Dominique. Hey, Dominique, what platform are you on? Do you mind sharing with me which platform you are on? I'm trying to see which of these live streams is actually passing their chat through to me. Okay, so that's what I'm looking for. So anyway, um, as I said, I set up a family trust. Now, there's different types of trust, but basically a trust is a legal instrument. It's a document, and it's a structure, a legal structure that allows you to take things out of your own name, things that you own, and put it into the name of the trust. You see, because in the trust has protections. It's almost treated like a person other than you, even though you completely control it, right? And there's different types of trust. And the type of trust that I'm talking about right now, is called a dynasty trust. And that's the type of trust that I set up for my family. And the reason that I set up the dynasty trust for my family is because I wanted a trust that would last for multiple generations. Now, many of you guys may have heard of the word living trust, right? A living trust is a trust that most people have, and inside their living trust, they'll put all their stuff, right? They put their car, they put their bank accounts, they put their savings accounts, they'll put their retirement funds, and have the trust owning all this stuff. And then when they die, they avoid probate, which nobody wants to go through probate, right? So they avoid probate and they pass on their things to their surviving heirs without government interference. And that's one of the real big benefits of a trust. The only challenge that I have with a living trust is that a living trust dies shortly after you do. Now, I do have a living trust, and I've had a living trust for decades. I have a living trust, and inside my living trust is where I'm passing on my stuff, right? My car, my clothes, my jewelry, my furniture. I'll share that with my children and my grandchildren. However, in my dynasty trust, the multi-generational dynasty trust, that's where I have my investments. That's where I have my retirement funds. That's where I have the real estate that I own and all of that, because that I want to stay out of the hands of my heirs and in the trust so that it's available for all the generations to come. Now, my dynasty trust is designed to last for 360 years. 360, that's a lot of generations, okay? And so I set that up, and it owns all of my assets. And each month, as I make money from my assets, from my investments, that money doesn't come to me, it goes right into my dynasty trust. okay? And that money it serves as a family bank. And when my money is not being borrowed by a family member, I'm sorry, let me say it this way. When my money is not being invested in some investment, it can be borrowed by a family member and they pay it back with interest, okay, because that's still an investment. And so if they borrow $100 and they pay back 108 or 110, right, that's an extra $10 or $8 inside the family bank. And that's exactly what banks do, and that's exactly what we do. It's a great system. I rolled it out about 4 years ago. And my family was kind of, they were almost like a deer in headlights when I first rolled it out. And I said, hey guys, I've set up this Dynasty Trust and we're going to use it as a family bank. And they were looking at me like, what are you talking about? They didn't really get it, right? And so I just took my time and I tried to help them understand that basically I had put my assets inside this family banking system through the trust, and that within that trust, if they needed money for something, rather than going to their traditional sources to borrow money, I explained to them that they should borrow it right from our family trust, from our bank, our trust. And then when they pay it back, they'll pay it back with interest, and that will help to grow the trust. And then that money would then be there for their kids when their kids are old enough to say, hey, I want to, go to college, or I want to buy a car. There will be money in that trust. And so after a while, my family members started to get it. And boy, oh boy, when they got it, I was so happy. And I can tell you, they were too. And I got so much love and so much gratitude from my family members once they understood what we had actually done, and what we've done, not just for them, but for their kids and their grandkids, right? And their grandkids' grandkids. I mean, we've set up something that will go on and on and on. Oh, thank you. Dominique says he was on Facebook there. That's where he got that's where he put his chats in. So apparently we're seeing the Facebook chats, guys. So if you guys are on Facebook and you want to chat with me, go right ahead and do that. Put it into the chat, and I will be happy to answer your questions. If you have questions about, first of all, right now I'm just talking about the trust aspect of this. So if you have questions about the trust, you can put it into the chat, and I will see it. And I'm not too sure, like on LinkedIn and YouTube and some of the other places, I'm not too sure if those chats are coming through. So if you don't get an answer, it's not because I'm ignoring you. It's only because I have not been notified by our system that you have asked a question. So I apologize for that. But that being said, if you can head over to Facebook, you can watch it on Facebook, right, as well, because we're live on multiple platforms today. All right, so as I was just talking about, I set up this family banking system inside a Dynasty Trust. And the Dynasty Trust actually owns everything, and I am 100% in control of the Dynasty Trust. So even though none of my assets, none of my investments are in my name, I completely control them. I can buy them, I can sell them, I can take the cash out of the trust anytime I want. I can put cash in anytime I want. I completely control it. So I'm not giving up control, I'm just restructuring it. And one of the beautiful things about putting everything into trust is that trusts are not public entities. Now, what does that mean? That means that it's not recorded in the county records, it's not reported to the state. Nobody knows your trust exists until you want to disclose that. And nobody knows what your trust owns unless you decide to disclose that. It's completely private. And I love that because it gives me anonymity. You know, when people know that there's bad people out there in the world. We all know that, right? And there are people out there that'll just sue you for any reason. And when people think that you have something, they will sue you, right? They'll sue you. And hopefully you'll want to just settle with them so they'll go away. And sometimes they don't just go away, but that's what people do. But they can't, if they sue me, I have nothing. I don't own anything. And so they sue me. Their attorneys go and do the search, right, to see what assets I own. They're going to see that I don't own anything, right? I think it was I think it was John D. Rockefeller who said, uh, "Own nothing but control everything." Okay, own nothing but control everything, something like that. I don't. I may have misquoted that, but that's the essence of what he said. And if you think about it, that's not a bad idea, right? Do you actually need to have your car in your name? Does it actually need to? Does it matter? Wouldn't it be better if it were in the name of a trust, so that if someone were to, try to sue you, they couldn't take your car? They couldn't take it because you don't own it. It's not yours, right? And so those are the types of things that wealthy people do. And I learned a long time ago, if you want to have what wealthy people have, then you need to do what wealthy people do. You need to read what wealthy people read. You need to think like wealthy people think. And that's what I do. And I am now wealthy as a result of that, right? And so um, that's just one of the things that I do. So moving on. In addition to um, in addition to setting up that trust, I've also set up a way to continuously add money into the trust, not only while I'm alive, but also after I'm gone, right? So in multiple ways, money is coming into the trust, which creates a bigger pool of money for investing or for our family members to borrow if they want to buy a house or buy a car or, take a vacation or whatever. So here's one of the ways that I fund my trust. Most of us that do invest, we have a habit of saving money. That's how you get started investing, right? You start saving money and then you use that money to invest. Well, we already have that habit. And so rather than saving money where I used to save money, I now save money inside my trust. Okay, that's the first thing. And I'll explain in a minute exactly how I do that, which is kind of unique in and of itself. But another source of creating funding for my family banking system, is the income that comes from my investments. So like if I'm collecting rent on a rental house, instead of that rent going into my traditional bank, it goes right into my family trust. Okay? And that builds up the balance in the trust. And of course, as I said a minute ago, if I need that money for some reason, I control the trust. I can take it out of there. It's just not in my name, is the bottom line. And it's not in my personal bank account. So that's the second way that I do add money into our family banking system. Another way that I have set up to add money into our family banking system is um, I had my trust buy life insurance policies on every family member. A whole life insurance policy, right? It's a specifically engineered type of life insurance, but what that does, if you think about it just from a standard life insurance practice, right? That means that as each person in my family passes on, money will be paid into our family trust, right? Large amounts of money, the death benefit from the life insurance policies will be paid into our family trust. Then the family trust uses the money that's in there to buy life insurance on every new person that's born, adopted, or married into our family. So that as each person comes into the family, every single person has insurance. They're all covered, okay? And there's some benefits for them as well as for the trust, and I'll talk about that in a couple minutes. But every person has insurance. And that's quite unusual in most families, right? As a matter of fact, looking around in your own family, you probably have people in your own family that don't have a life insurance policy on them, right? If they die and they don't have any money, then there will be a collection taken up from the surviving family members to try to bury them, right? To put them into the ground. Um, well, we don't have to do that in our family because every person has a life insurance policy. And so if something happens to them and they die, um, them, their final expenses and things, they're all covered by the trust. They don't have to worry about it and it's not a loan. It's just part of the benefits of being in our family, right? Nobody has to try to stress over, oh my gosh, we can't afford a casket, we can't afford a headstone. How are we supposed to bury Uncle Joe? All of that's covered. So that was one of the real big benefits. But the life insurance policy itself, when it pays off, all of that money goes into our family trust, and it's now available for the surviving family members to use, to borrow, and and our family banking balance has just increased. Now, if you think about that, and so I'll just talk about that for just a minute. What that's going to do within our family is this. Every time someone passes, and we all do, right? We all do. So I'm not being morbid or anything, but every time someone passes, money is being added to our family trust. Hundreds of thousands of dollars. And so as each generation passes, literally the next generation starts off with millions of dollars more than the prior generation did. So that means that every single generation of my heirs will be wealthier and wealthier and wealthier as a result of following the plan that I've put into place. If you like that, put that into the chat. Put it into the chat what your thoughts are on that, right? Put your comments in the chat, guys. This is really an incredible plan, if you think about it, right? It's an incredible plan. Now, let's talk about the life insurance policies that I mentioned earlier. Okay, I mentioned to you guys that I purchased a life insurance policy on every family member. Now, for most of my life, I always felt that if I was buying life insurance, I just wanted to buy the cheapest policy I could possibly find, right? So I buy term policies. Those of you that know about life insurance, right? That's cheap, cheap, cheap policies, right? So I would buy term life insurance, and I didn't want to invest any more than I needed to buy life insurance because I felt I could invest that money someplace else and do better than just buying a life insurance policy. I saw life insurance as an expense. I no longer see life insurance as an expense. Now, I should say with one caveat, if you don't structure the policies properly and by the right type of policy, yeah, it is an expense in my mind. However, a properly structured life insurance policy, the right type of policy from the right company, and you don't have an expense. What you've got is another asset. It's like buying a rental house or something like that. These policies actually build equity, and they build equity very, very quickly. They build equity just like if you buy an apartment building for $200,000 and then it goes up to $250,000. You just made $50,000 in equity, right? The same thing happens with these life insurance policies. So I don't see them as an expense anymore. I see them as an investment. Now, remember earlier I was saying that when I have money and I collect money, I deposit it in my trust. So where I specifically deposit it within the trust is I deposit it within the trust and within the life insurance policies that the trust owns. Because we can actually deposit money into the life insurance policies. The life insurance companies are financial institutions just like banks, okay? They're financial institutions, and so they can actually take money in. And so what I like about life insurance policies is that when I deposit my savings inside a life insurance policy, they pay me interest just like banks. But in addition to that, they also pay dividends, which banks don't do. Okay? So in addition to the interest that I make on the money, I also get dividends, which is basically profit sharing from the life insurance companies. Now, why do life insurance companies do that? Because they want you to take your money from the bank and put it with them. And so they actually pay you more than what banks pay. And so when I park my money until I'm ready to use it, I park it inside these life insurance policies. That creates more income, or more cash, I should say, within our trust that's available for my family members to borrow. If they want to buy a car, if they want to take a vacation, if they want to buy some furniture, whatever, right? Isn't that crazy? It just doesn't get any better than this, guys. I'm telling you guys, when I set this up, I wasn't sure exactly how it was going to work. But now for me, it's been over 4 years. Actually, next month. It was October 4 years ago that I set it up. So next month, it'll be 4 years that I set this up for my family. And it's been an incredible blessing. As a matter of fact, one of the things that has come out of it is inside my trust, I have designated who's going to take over the trust after I'm gone, right? I've appointed something called a successor trustee. That's, hey, who's going to take over after dad's gone, right? So I've got my successor trustee picked out. Um, but I also set it up so that my family members, the members of my family, um, they get together once a year. And I don't call it a family reunion, it's a family business meeting, is what it is. And we call it our Dynasty Day. That's what we call it, Dynasty Day. So once a year, we have a Dynasty Day. This year was actually a weekend, wasn't just a day. And the trust pays for like a hotel rooms, and all of the family members show up, even family members from out of town. Okay, they can show up and we all get to hang out together. It has literally brought our family closer together, and it has made it so that as much money that has been borrowed from our family bank, every dime has always been paid back. Our family members, they get it, right? They understand that, hey, when I'm paying this back, I'm paying back our family. This is not like paying it's not like paying Bank of America or paying Toyota a car payment, right? This is paying back your family. All of our family members understand too that that the money that's in our family bank is there for everyone's benefit. And if they didn't pay it back, they are literally stealing from their own brothers and sisters and children and grandchildren. They get that, right? They get that. And so we have not had an issue at all with family members borrowing and then paying back. And we have loaned hundreds of thousands of dollars over the past 4 years to family members. We don't make them jump through hoops. Like if you want to go to the Bank of America and borrow money, you got to fill out this long application. You got to jump through hoops, and who knows, right? Maybe you'll get approved, maybe you won't. Well, guess what? Within our family bank, they don't have to deal with that. You guys like this idea? I mentioned at the beginning that I wrote a book called Family Circle of Wealth. Family Circle of Wealth. It's available on Amazon. This is it here on the screen. And in this book, I explain exactly how I structured my own family banking system. And you can get it on Amazon for 20 bucks. Or if you want it for free, okay, all you've got to do is text me the word book to the number on the screen, 951-551-0087. Text the word book, and I'll put it in the mail and I'll send it out to you. Now, you'll probably want to send me your mailing address because this is not an ebook. This is a real book, okay? But send me your mailing address and your name, of course, and I'll send that out to you in the mail. All right, and you can read it. Once you read it, if you want to have a conversation with me about it and learn more, I'm happy to do that. And I don't charge any money for that. I don't sell insurance. I don't do any of that. I don't sell trusts. I'm just sharing this with you because I'm telling you, if you love your family and you want to do something special for your family that every family member will appreciate, and I mean every family member will appreciate it. I have to tell you guys, my 45-year-old son, when he really understood what we were doing here, he literally came and kissed me. He never kisses me. He actually came and kissed me. He said, "Dad, this is fantastic. Thank you so much," right? I mean, guys, that's the kind of thing that happens. Our family members are closer now. Even the ones from around the country, we talk on a regular basis. All of my family members talk on a regular basis now. We have a family Facebook group now. They did that. The trust didn't do that. They just chose to do that. They wanted to be closer. And, many families today are splintered, right? They're all over the country. And with this, we've been able to bring our family closer together. So I'm thinking this is pretty hot, okay? I think this is pretty hot. I don't know what your thoughts are, but there's not many people out there talking about setting it up like this, but they should be. And so that's why I'm sharing this with you today. I want you guys to get it and to understand it, okay? So that's the basics of how I've got it set up. I can tell you this, back to the insurance, the question of insurance, is it an expense? The game changer for me was this. When I realized that I could buy a life insurance policy and I could take out 90% of the premium that I paid for that policy and I could still use it for whatever I need to use it for. Now, think about that for just a minute. What I've just said to you is, let's just say you bought a $100,000 life insurance policy, and let's just say you paid $1,000 for it. I don't know. It's $1,000. Let's just say you pay $1,000. Okay? And you got a $100,000 life insurance policy, but you need that $1,000. Well, you can take out 900 of that 1,000 within 30 days after you buy the policy, and the policy stays in place. So you still have a $100,000 life insurance policy, but all you've got tied up in it is $100, not $1,000. So you can take that $900 and go invest in something else if that's what you want to do. Okay? And the beautiful thing about this is, yes, you can pay that $900. You take it out as a loan from the insurance company, but you don't have to pay it back. You can pay it back, and you should pay it back, but you don't have to. Because remember I said you have a $100,000 life insurance policy? Well, the life insurance company knows that when you die, they owe you $100,000, don't they? Yes, of course. They owe your estate $100,000. Well, if you didn't pay back the $900, they would just take the $900 out of the $100,000 that they're going to give to your survivors. So you don't have to pay it back. Although I suggest that you do, and I suggest you pay it back with interest, just the same as you would if you borrowed $900 from Wells Fargo. Now, why? For the very same reason that I tell my children when they borrow money from our family bank, they should pay it back with interest, because that's what bankers do, right? You don't just steal your own money, pay it back with interest, treat your own banking system just like you would treat any other an institutional banking system. If you borrow $900 from Wells Fargo or Chase or B of A or any of the banks, you're going to pay it back with interest. So I just suggest doing the very same thing. Pay it back with interest. Now you get to decide what that interest rate is and how much interest to pay, but pay it back with interest. If you take out $900, put back more than $900. It's still there for you. So what the heck? Why not? It's not like it's leaving your family. But when you do that, you start earning interest on the full amount that you paid back. So if you take out $900 and you pay back $950, you start earning interest on $950. Okay? That's just it's common sense, and it's good business, right? And you wonder why the rich get richer, right? They do these kinds of things. This is what the wealthy do. Okay? This is how they live. You know, we think that rich people just give all their money, leave all their money for their kids, and they're so smart in their investments. Well, guess what? The way that I've got my life structured, even if my investments do poorly, I know that I'm leaving something for my family because I have life insurance policies on every single person. So I know my family is going to get wealthier and wealthier and wealthier generation after generation, regardless of how my investments do. Now, they'll get wealthier faster if my investments do well, and if my heirs that take over the investment portfolio does well. So the last thing I'll talk about here today is the investment side of this family banking system. Now, as I mentioned, I developed a dynasty trust to own all of the assets that I have acquired, you know, my rental properties, my investments, my stocks, my cryptocurrencies, all the things that I invest in. So it's all owned by my dynasty trust. And the way that I have it set up is that as these assets, after I'm gone, here's what I want to tell you. After I'm gone, the new trustee has rules that they must follow with the assets that I leave behind. They cannot just make a decision, oh, we're just going to sell the house over there and split the money up. That's not even an option. They have to follow the rules that I put into the trust. They cannot violate those rules. Okay? If they do, they can literally lose their trustee position. And I set up a family council of mature family members to govern that process, right? 5 family members, 5 people on the council, 4 family members, and 1 non-family member, an attorney will always be the 5th person, okay? And so we've got that set up, and that keeps everybody on the up and up and keeps everybody honest. And it makes sure that the way that I structured our investments and our trust and our life insurance policies to make sure that those rules are followed. Isn't that good stuff? Isn't that good stuff? People need to talk more about this. This is really life-changing things. These are strategies that really, really do change a family's financial trajectory forever. Okay? Forever. And that's exactly what I've done for my family. So let me just check the chat again and see if there's anybody. If you have a question or anything before I wind this down, you can just put it into the chat. And hopefully it will come through, okay? I know Facebook chat is coming through. I was told that already by someone on Facebook. If you're not on Facebook, you can try putting your question into the chat. If it doesn't come through, and I don't see it on my side, then I'd say then what you'll want to do is probably text me your question. You can text me your question at 951-551-0087, 951-551-0087, okay? So, and I'll be happy to answer your questions. Last thing that I want to do here again, guys, is I want to tell you guys this. I have written a book, The Family Circle of Wealth, and I'm willing to give you this book for free if you'll just text me and ask for it. Or if you don't want to text me, you can just go to, but you still want the book, you can just go to Amazon and look for Family Circle of Wealth by Desi Arnaz, and you can buy it. It's only 20 bucks, okay? But I don't care about that part. I want this book in people's hands because I know it's going to change their family's life, okay? And 20 bucks isn't going to change my life one way or the other. So I want this book in people's hands. So feel free to text me at 951-551-0087, and I'll get the book out to you. Just text the word book along with your mailing address so that I know where to send it, okay? And I'll get it out to you, all right? So let me check in the chat here and see if anything came through before I wrap this up today. Yeah, nothing came through on my chat, so I'm going to assume that I can't see the chats from the other sites, only from Facebook, okay? And since there's no other questions or comments on there from Facebook, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up today's show, right? Again, you guys have been watching the Passive Wealth Power Hour, and we're bringing you this Power Hour once a week on Wednesdays. Right now, we're at Wednesdays at 5 p.m. That time could be subject to change, so keep watching your Facebook or wherever it is you follow us on. We may change the time, but the Passive Wealth Power Hour, and our goal here is to empower you to create wealth passively for your family, okay? That's what it's all about. So with that, guys, I'm going to say good night. I'm going to say God bless you, God bless your family, and God bless America. See you guys next week. Bye-bye.